What would you think of Senator John Thune as the Senate Republican leader? I would love to get your reaction to this at 605-336-1320 this morning. 605-336-1320 is my number. What do you think of the idea of Senator John Thune then replacing Senator Mitch McConnell, who announced yesterday that he will be stepping down as the Republican leader of the Senate? There are a number of others whose names are already out there, and one of them is South Dakota Senator John Thune. And I would love to know how you feel about it, your reaction, your thoughts, and who you would like to see. Give us a call this morning, 605-336-1320. You want to join the program? I love hearing from you. 605-336-1320 is the number. So there are a number of stories that are out there. This is FoxNews.com. There are a number of names that are out there. Senators John Cornyn of Texas, Senator Thune. Fox keeps saying he's from North Dakota. Can somebody give Fox a wake-up call? John Barrasso of Wyoming, Senator Rick Scott of Florida, Senator Tom Cotton, and Senator Steve Daines of Montana. So I would love to get your thoughts. We're going to hop right to the phones this morning, 605-336-1320, and we'll start with Clint. Good morning, Clint. You're on Kello.
Hey, good morning, Greg.
Hey, buddy.
I'm really conflicted here. I don't really want him to get it. I got to be honest with you. It's almost like a deja vu for me, except this time a South Dakota senator will be a Republican that will be the leader in the Senate. But it's going to be a worthless individual, in my opinion, because it's just another politician that tells us what we want to hear. And it pains me to say that because I don't think Thune used to be that way. But I think honestly, because I've talked to him before personally at church, and but the politics of the whole thing there overrides, and that's what is it just kills me, and the federal government drives me crazy. You know this, I've said it a million times, and it's just sad.
I relate to that very much, as you well know. I mean, I have the same frustrations. Is there somebody that you would like to see, if not Senator Thune? Who would you choose, Clint?
Oh, gosh. I've thought about that, and I honestly, they all make me sick to my stomach. It's just...
Yeah, totally understood. Clint, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks for your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Phone lines are open, 605-336-1320. Who do you think should replace Mitch McConnell as the Republican leader then in the U.S. Senate? Patrice, good morning. You're on Kello.
Good morning, Greg.
Hi.
I have been following John Thune for as long as he's been in Washington, even though I'm from Iowa. He just struck me as a very intelligent, trustworthy, decent individual. And I was so happy when he got into the Senate. And I've talked to him a few times, too, like at South Dakota State Fairs or at SDSU functions. So I've always just felt really good about him. But last week, did he do something kind of cockamamie? Like, did he kind of reverse his stance on the illegal immigration stuff, or am I mistaken?
Not that I'm aware of, but again, I don't catch everything. There are so many things that are happening that I'm trying to stay on top of the biggest stories, and other stuff gets by me.
Well, I could be wrong about that because I would have heard it on your show or I wouldn't have heard it at all. So maybe it was somebody else who was brought up. But I don't know who would be any better than him. I've just always thought he had good, solid beliefs, and overall, for the most part, I think he's really backed them up with his actions.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you, Patrice, for the call. Phone lines are open. It's a great time to call. Who would you like to? Who do you want to see succeed Senator Mitch McConnell as the Republican leader in the Senate? Senator Thune is one of those names that's out there out front. So I'd love to get your perspective. 605-336-1320 if you'd like to join the program. Jared, good morning. You're on Kello.
Hi, Greg. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, me personally, I'd love to see Rand Paul as the minority leader, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Unfortunately, I'd like to see the voters get Thune out of there. Me personally, I have no, I really don't like the guy. I think he's a mouthpiece for big business and big money. And, he's another one of those swamp creatures. But if he is going to be the minority leader, I guess,
well, what kind of minority leader do you think he would be, Jared?
Really, I think he would be, very much like his, who he's being the whip for right now. I think he would be just like Mitch McConnell. He's a Mitch McConnell clone, in my opinion.
And that does not excite me. I mean, very candidly, I'm not too excited about that.
Yeah, me either. Well, hey, thanks, Greg.
No, thank you, my friend. Phone lines are open. 605-336-1320. 605-336-1320. Love to get your thoughts as to who you think should replace Mitch McConnell then as the Senate Republican leader. McConnell announcing yesterday and this was a bit of a surprise, shouldn't have been. He's 82 years old. But McConnell said, one of life's most underappreciated talents is to know when it's time to move on to life's next chapter. So I stand before you today to say this will be my last term as a Republican leader of the Senate. So this was around noon yesterday he announced this. And apparently a surprise to some of his colleagues who didn't know this was coming. So McConnell said he plans to serve out the remainder of his term. It ends in January of 2027. So he plans to serve out the remainder of his term through 2027. But he is stepping down from his role as Republican leader now. And he said, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. However, I will complete my job that my colleagues have given me until we select a new leader in November and they take the helm next January. This is what he said yesterday. And I would love to get your reaction to this, thoughts as to who you think, who's a Republican that you think is going to be in there and fighting for the American people. Again, I mentioned there are already some names that have come up. Senator John Cornyn of Texas, Senator Thune, Senator Barrasso of Wyoming, Senator Rick Scott of Florida, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. I like Tom Cotton. And Steve Daines of Montana. So there were this piece from Fox News says speculation about Thune, Barrasso, or Daines taking over as leader stems from their current roles in GOP leadership. They serve as Republican whip. That's Thune. Senate Republican Conference chairman and a National Republican Senatorial Committee chairman, respectively. So the Fox News also talked to the NRSC, that's the National Republican Senatorial Committee, and the director said Chairman Daines is laser focused on taking back the Senate majority. So they're referring to Thune, Cornyn, and Barrasso as the three Johns. Barrasso, Fox says, is considered the most conservative out of the three, according to one source. Barrasso was also believed to be a more palatable option for the various factions of Republicans in the Senate who don't always see eye to eye. And, one of the things, did you catch Senator Thune endorsing Donald Trump earlier this week? Endorsing Donald Trump, and I thought, well, now initially he had endorsed Senator Tim Scott. Both of South Dakota senators did. They endorsed Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. Well, then Senator Tim Scott dropped out of the race. He heartily endorses Trump. And now Thune the other day has endorsed Trump. And then comes this news that McConnell's stepping down as leader. Now, what do you make of all that? I love getting your thoughts. Phone lines are open, 605-336-1320. Good morning, Misty. You're on Kello.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks
Hi.
for taking my call.
Good to hear from you.
So I think Thune would be a terrible idea, and I think regarding Patrice's phone call earlier, his changing his stance on immigration, I think when he signed on with that Ukraine bill last week, she might be referring to that, because by signing on to that and not giving any money to the border, he essentially did open up the border. But I think Tim Scott, I agree with the other guy, and Paul would be great. He doesn't get bought by anybody, or cotton.
Interesting. It'll be fascinating to see how this plays out. Were you surprised by McConnell saying he's going to step aside?
Not really, because he's had those moments lately where he just goes blank in the middle of a sentence, kind of like Biden.
Yes. Yeah, kind of like me some days. I know the feeling. Hey, Misty, we got a bit of a connection problem there, but thank you for your call. I appreciate it, my friend. I love hearing from you, 605-336-1320. Good morning, Rich. You're on Kello.
Hey, good morning, Greg. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, I think like Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley would be a good leader in the Senate. I mean, they don't back down from nothing. They know they hold values on our Constitution and stuff. I mean,
yes.
They're really aggressive. Just saying, they've been around a while too. I mean, and I've never seen either one of them sell out anybody.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. It's going to have to be somebody with a little bit of experience who, knows that has built up relationships, and because you got to be able to build coalitions, in a role like that. I think it's incredibly important that you could bring people together. Are the folks that you named, you think they're capable of that?
I think they are. I mean, if you watch Josh Hawley, I mean, on all the stuff that he represents, I mean, and Ted Cruz, he's another one, they've never been rhinos. I mean, they've never been speculated as a rhino. I mean, I would probably veer towards two of them guys, but I guess we'll see.
Well, I really appreciate your thoughts, Rich. Thank you so much. 605-336-1320 is the Kello hotline if you want to join the program. I love hearing from you. Sean, good morning. You're on Kello.
Good morning, Greg.
Hey, buddy.
I have to admit that I haven't heard of these other names that you've mentioned. Other than Thune and Tom Cotton. And in my mind, Tom Cotton is a much better choice based on what I've heard him say in the media. He seems to stand up for conservative principles, and I believe that is what we need. And I believe if you have somebody who's able to stand on principles, on conservative principles, they would still be able to build coalitions and actually get things done that would actually be beneficial instead of just looking out for their own little circle there in D.C.
Do you not think that John Thune is that guy?
No. I tend to think he is, as someone said earlier, he is an apprentice of Mitch McConnell, and I believe he's kind of becoming McConnell Jr. He seems to say one thing out here, and then he goes there, and he just falls in lockstep with McConnell and all his swampy buddies.
Well, I really appreciate your perspective, Sean. Thanks for the call. Now's a great time to call. Phone lines are open, and I'd love to get your thoughts as to who you think should succeed Mitch McConnell as the Republican leader in the Senate. Give me a call, 605-336-1320, if you'd like to join the program. Good morning, David. You're on Kello.
Yeah, I have some real problems with some of the rhinos in there, and John Thune, our representative, is one of them, I believe. On January 6th, if you remember, there was a bunch of them that didn't stand up to their oath, which every military guy takes also, and they didn't even follow what the Constitution said about the election things. And they just let everybody get by. Well, our representative Clinton, she didn't allow that. Al Gore didn't allow that. All these guys get in there, and they seem to lose their spine. And I just would love to see somebody like Hawley. I like him. But that's kind of where I'm coming from there. We just need some good people and not rhinos in there.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that feeling. David, thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think the names that are out there right now are Senator John Cornyn. He's from Texas. Senator Thune, of course. Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming. Senator Rick Scott. Senator Tom Cotton. And Senator Steve Daines of Montana are the names that are out there. Right now, they're being floated as a potential replacement for McConnell. Good morning, Wes. You're on Kello.
Hi, Greg. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. I listen in 2-3 times a week, try to anyways. But I miss South Dakota, I'll tell you that. But anyways, in my mind, we're in a war for the future of this country. We need a leader in the Senate that is principled and not afraid to stand on those principles, to speak on those principles, and to do battle against the media. Not someone that sticks his finger in the air to see which way the wind's blowing and worries about what the New York Times is going to write about him. So
who's that in your mind?
Well, you've got made two solid choices and maybe a third. Tim Scott, Rand Paul, and in third place, maybe Ted Cruz.
Sure. Well, I really appreciate your perspective, Wes. Thanks for, again, Wes is currently is in West Virginia, is listening on iHeart. Thank you so much, Wes. It's always good to talk to you. I appreciate it. Wes says, we haven't heard from Wes for a while, but he calls fairly regularly. Good morning, Steve. You're on Kello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. So what are you thinking?
Well, I just want to point out, first thing, that I was watching when they first announced that noontime yesterday that McConnell was stepping down, they showed a picture of old Mitch covering about half the screen, and whose head was right off to his left shoulder but Thune. And my God, do you remember there's usually a Mount Rushmore photo, Mitch will be at the microphone and the other three guys behind him I mean, that's been for over a decade. There'd be a Mount Rushmore of
but it makes sense that Republican leadership is all going to be, reacting oftentimes together.
Okay, well, my real point is that Thune gave a TV interview on Kello or Dakota News when that Langford bill came out. Langford and Schumer tried to work out this southern border issue.
Right.
And Thune, I don't think, said the word wall during the whole interview, and really was totally non-committal about, we'll just see how things play out and so forth. And I'm sorry, I don't trust little Mitch. He's a player. He's a swamp rat. He's during,
Who would you like? Well, who would you like to see, Steve?
Oh, Rick Scott, Barrasso would be great. I don't know whether Cotton and some of the more
Cornyn. Yep.
Well, Cornyn would be good too, I suppose, but I don't know.
Well, I'm just throwing out the names that have been bandied about.
Well, I would say there's an awful lot of talent there, but we don't want the players that have been in Washington so long that the other thing, Thune was going to go along, I think, with that Democratic border proposed thing in the Senate, and thank God we got the majority in the House, and Johnson squashed that right away.
Yeah, great points. Steve, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate all your calls.